Welcome to Kitbashing, where the L stands for Legions, the I stands for Imperialis, and the Tbashing stands for Kitbashing. By gum, it's been a while since the last proper Kitbash. I'll have another one for you before the Mechanicum box comes out, then it'll be Mechanicum for a while, I'll bet. But for now, let's dive into a fun White Scars Kitbash based around the Astartes Fast Attack box. But you'll also need a couple of Hunter-Killer missiles from the Rhino box, a Kiri's autocannon from the Contemptor Dreadnought, and some autocannons from your choice of kit. I got mine from a Deredeo Dreadnought, but you could probably make similar with spare bits from tank optional guns if you don't want to sacrifice a Deredeo. Now, in this first little section, where I build pretty much according to instructions, I usually wax lyrical about the unit, character, or legion in question, but then again I'm usually building a traitor unit, and I'll be damned if I'm going to say nice things about a loyalist, even if they're objectively the coolest loyalists. But I can split the difference, and talk about how the Emperor, because he's an idiotic superstitious dictator with no authority to lead his own bodyguard, let alone the observable universe, thought Jagatai Khan was a traitor. Because of a prophecy which stated some of his sons would betray him and turn heretic, the Big E was fully prepared for the heresy, and was able to nip it in the bud, and it never happened. Only joking, he's an idiot, and he put all his suspicions into the wrong sons. He basically flipped a coin between Sanguinius and Horus as for who to name War Master, and Horus himself even said Sangi was probably the better choice. But no, the Emperor knew better, and that was a good choice, wasn't it? A more direct victim of the Emperor's idiocy was Jagatai Khan, who, as an infant, along with his brothers, was lost into the warp and scattered across the galaxy. In Khan's case, sent to the Asan sector, to a planet named Jagoris. One of the less vague prophecies the Emperor subscribed to was that he shouldn't trust the Primarch who was headed to Jagoris, and the Emperor spent his whole life side-eyeing Khan, who had only ever shown fealty, but never received his father's full trust, whilst watching Fulgrim be given exclusive rights to the Emperor's name and sigil, only then to lol become a demon lol. Because in a not-of-woman-born Woods-to-Dunsinane style of prophecy, Fulgrim was headed to Jagoris and Khan was headed to Chemos, so the Emperor shouldn't have trusted the one heading to Jagoris, only the issue is the one headed there never reached there because something swapped their paths. So congratulations, 5th Legion, you get to be honorary traitors because you drew the suspicious eyes of your space dad so that Fulgrim could gain apotheosis. Good job, A+, would heresy again. Anyway, back to the model. The bits you'll need not to build as suggested are the underslung flamer melter gun thing and the las cannon sponsons. But you will need the sponson holders, but I found it easier to stick the guns on them first. First thing you'll need to do special to this build is to clean up the autocannons. As nice as the ammo belt is, it doesn't make sense for the assault speeder, so snip those off and clean them as necessary. Once they're sorted, stick them to the sponson joints, posing as you see fit. You may need to trim off any wayward nubs or wires intended for the las cannons. The Kiri's cannon you kindly borrowed from the Contemptor will go underslung in place of the flamer. If you trim this carefully against the shoulder pad of the Contemptor, it should stick nicely in the gap, but you could round off the edges and rest it in the socket if you'd like some posability. Before sticking the sponsons on the side, drill a 1mm hole in the base, because the opaque plastic flight stands that come with the kit are gross, and we're going to be replacing them with thin, clear acrylic rod so they're not such an eyesore. Skip this step if you have even the slightest bit more self-control than I have, or if you're a loser. Do the same with the base. Finally, assemble our bits. There are some optional bits here you could do. The 28mm model has a sabre stuck to the side. This would work well with the sabre from the Solar Auxilia HQ, but because the readability issue means the swords are slightly larger than scale would suggest they should be, it stuck out a bit much on this build, so I opted against it. But by all means give it a go if you want extra stuff. I did, however, opt for the Hunter-Killer missiles. I started with 2 as per the max options for the 28mm kit, but changed my mind between the build and the paint, because I decided to build 2 of these for illegal detachment, and spread the Hunter-Killer missiles across them. And there's the build. Now on to the paint. I sprayed with Grey Seer for that more mechanical off-white to start, but basically any white or off-white primer would be fine. I started with Black Templar contrast on everything that would be metal, either brass or gunmetal. This meant I got to have an easier surface on top for the white to go on, whilst giving the necessary oily shadows for the metallics. After this, I warp lock bronzed everywhere I wanted the brassy goldy colour to go, based on the promo images. Warp lock bronze is one of the best base coats for pretty much any true metal you're going for. The only reason I didn't use this for the gunmetal areas is because of how small these minis are. I wanted the contrast between the areas I wanted silvery and the areas I wanted goldy to stand out. Speaking of gunmetal, lead belch are roughly painted on any metal that isn't going to be gold or brass. In traditional White Scar's spot colours, I picked out just a few random panels and trims to be Mephiston red. Don't go overboard though, remember these are White Scars, not the white stripes. I made a light brown wash with some Agrax Earthshade and some medium. On a larger figure, I wouldn't have bothered watering it down, but I didn't want the shadows to be too dark to take away from the aforementioned white. And then the whole mini got a wash with this more translucent Earthshade. And that's where we are now. Perfectly acceptable for tabletop, but a highlight layer will help them to pop. The highlight paints we'll need are Wazdaka Red, White Scar, Liberator Gold, and Runefang Steel. Games Workshop has been tending away from Runefang to Stormhost Silver in their paint guides of late, but every batch I've bought has turned out really gloopy. I always find Steel has the much better flow. If you're confident in your brush washing in between steps, or have multiple good brushes to use, you can do these colours in any order. I, however, for speed of not having to spend an age washing my brush between steps, have opted to start with the white so it stays white and doesn't go pink, then to the red, then the metallics last so they don't add shiny flecks to the matte paints. So leaving some of the dirty brown in the shadows, paint White Scar on all of the white areas. How fitting. Wazdaka Red on all of the red, Liberator Gold over the warp lock, and Runefang over the lead belcher. The vehicle transfer sheets have some really tiny transfers which you can add at your leisure. I've opted for a tiny 5 and a Legion symbol, but go as crazy as you feel like. With a base matching the rest of your army, I've gone for a Martian orangey red as per my basing guide for White Scars, and so they're ready to fight off the Mechanicum in a couple of weeks. And you end up with these guys. Well, painting 2 Loyalist models together didn't make me feel too dirty, but I will have to do a traitor again next week to cleanse the palette. A character model, so look forward to that. Especially for Patreon member Bradley, who's requested him, and therefore we'll be getting him sent to him once he's done. Remember, Patreon members get to suggest units and characters for videos, and, eventually, depending on the schedule, get them sent to them as thanks for the support. So please join if you have the funds. There's no one in the current Patreon pool who plays Scars though, so I'll probably add these two to an upcoming giveaway. Giveaways are still paused at the moment because the last attempt resulted in a couple of return to senders, so I want to get those sorted first. Again, Patrick, if you're watching, check your emails. I have free stuff to send you, but the post office doesn't like your address. It's been a while, but I don't want to give up. You earned these with your support, and I want to get them to you. Otherwise, please like, share, and subscribe, and comment. There's a big vicious but not vicious cycle of algorithmy goodness where people comment and reply to comments that then leads to more views, which leads to more comments. So interact and all the good stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're as excited for the trip to Mars as I am. Eternal peace and endless love. And please, 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 please keep on lit bashing.